Why, hello there. My name is Sammy. I'm an illustrator and a graphic designer. I specialize in pinup, horror, and also a little bit of hand lettering as well. A lot of my art tends to have this kind of Halloween, creepy, cute, funny, sexual themes to it for obvious reasons. Again, pinup and horror. So today's video is not going to be about my art. Today it's actually going to be more so about DIYing, upcycling your clothes. I know a lot of us are trying to be more eco-friendly and to not buy into fast fashion. Ooh, I almost really stumbled over saying that. Fast fashion. I don't know why that's so difficult to say for me. Moving on. So I thought I would make this video to kind of give some inspiration and some ideas of how you can DIY or upcycle your clothes, even if you're not an artist, because really you don't need to be an artist or all that creative of a person. A lot of this stuff is like pretty easy, down to earth. Anyone and everyone can do, or at least just try and see if you like it. Hey, real quick before the video starts, I wanted to pop in. I'm supposed to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe and all that jazz, if you dare. Also, in the video, I'm looking at bullet points, like a little script, to make sure that I'm staying on track and not veering off and talking about something else. So I keep looking at that. And I'm not used to really looking in the camera and stuff like that, so I'm sorry. It's a little messy, but I'm trying. That's about it, so on to the video. Okay, first things first, tie-dye. I love tie-dye. Tie-dye is also really easy for anyone and everyone to get into and to easily do. You just need to buy like a tie-dye kit and that thing can last you pretty long. Especially if you don't use all of the colors right away. I personally have tie-dyed probably too many of my clothes. My all-time favorite being my t-shirt that I dyed I was attempting to make it look like a skull. It kind of looks like a skull with an alien, I don't know, it's like skull alien thing, but I love it and I wear it all the time and it's super comfy, so there's that. I mean, you can obviously look up YouTube videos or even TikTok videos about how to tie-dye something, all kinds of crazy things. So there's a lot of resources out there for you to just have fun, balls to the walls, tie-dye everything and anything. Next up, bleach dye. Bleach dye, I think, is a close second. Well, maybe it's kind of tied for first with tie-dye for me because I think it's so fun to play with positive and negative space and colors and things like that. I think one of my all-time favorite clothing items that I have ever bleach dyed is my Metallica shirt. I cropped it, so I just cut it to look more flattering, but I don't know, it still just seemed kind of like basic and boring, so I wanted to do something more, and so I bleach dyed it. Tried to make it kind of look like lightning, like it was maybe cloudy, I don't know. I was just having fun and I love how it turned out. I've also bleach dyed a pair of my baggy oversized pants and I put spider webs and spiders on it and I absolutely love it. Also wear those pants all the time, so that's awesome. The third option for DIYing clothes, cutting up your clothes. This one might seem obvious and like it would be easy, but I think it's a little deceiving. This can be as simple as just cropping something, maybe just adding a little bit of flair, like adding some fringe or something. It doesn't really have to be that crazy, but depending on how far you want to push it, that's where it can get more complicated. And again, it's very deceiving because if you're just cropping something, that's obviously pretty easy to do. You just put it on, take like chalk or a white pencil and mark where you want to cut it and done. But if you are doing something more complex, that's where it gets very, very tricky. I'm speaking from experience, but don't let that deter you from still trying. I would maybe try on clothes that you wouldn't mind maybe giving away or throwing away and practice on those. But if you're just cropping it, then obviously super easy, can do it any time, every time, whatever. Coming in fourth place, distressing or making your clothes look more worn out. I used to have a few pieces that I distressed. I can't find them. You just need like a seam ripper and patience, because it can definitely take a while. Although now that I think about it, you could also use a razor or maybe even just a pair of scissors. Again, there are a lot of videos that you can look up to figure out how to distress your clothes at home by hand quite easily, but it is very time consuming and can sometimes drive you crazy depending on your project that you're doing. I used to have a pair of pants where I distressed the entire leg, both legs, and it took me so long to do, and then I ended up not liking it, so that's great. But I gave them away, so I'm sure somebody else found them and loved them more than I could, sadly. But again, cutting up and distressing your clothes, making it look more worn out or cropped, it can sometimes be deceiving because it seems like it'd be super easy and it'd be done like that, but it's not, especially if you mess it up. All right, next up is painting your clothes. As an illustrator, obviously, I definitely really like doing this, and I've actually done it for a few other people as well. I just really like painting on my clothes and really adding my own personality or somebody else's personality. So it's like really specific to the individual, and you can really have a lot of fun. I will say this one might be more on the expensive side, possibly. If you don't already have paint or an iron or something to help set the paint in the clothes so it doesn't wash away, you're obviously going to have to go out and buy some. I like to use, I don't know how to pronounce it, it's Posca or Posca. I like those markers. They're very versatile. And with those, all you need to do is just heat set it. So an iron, a heat press, and or a blow dryer for your hair will work perfectly fine to make sure that you're setting the paint in the fabric so it doesn't wash away. But again, if you don't have all of the material, it might be a little bit more somewhat on the expensive side depending on how many markers and things you need to get. But I will say the payoff is definitely worth it. Again, you're making it very specialized and specific to you. So I really like that. And the last DIY upcycle idea I am presenting today for you is embroidery. This one is really fun, but very time consuming as well. You will probably have to go out and buy thread and needle and stuff like that, but it's not quite as expensive as like buying paint and stuff. So that's a good thing, but it is very time consuming. I am very, very new to it as well. So I have already had quite a few struggles, but I will say again, I think the payoff is definitely worth it. So this is definitely one of them where you'd have to like slow down, take your time, make sure it's going right, do your research so you know exactly what to do going into it, and it'll look great. I ended up kind of embroidering this kind of basic black crop top that I got from H&M years and years and years ago. I don't even know, it might have been like 6 years or so, but I'm still wearing it. But I realized I wasn't wearing it as much as I used to. And that's where I got the idea of embroidery, because at the time I made my embroidery shirt, I was also really thinking about getting my own Black Sabbath t-shirt, like merch, but it's like expensive and I couldn't afford it. but I could afford embroidery tools. So I was like, well, why don't I just make my own Black Sabbath shirt? I love it. It's a great idea. It's very me while still supporting and loving this band that I love, you know. So I ended up embroidering my own Black Sabbath shirt, and I don't regret it. I actually wear it more than I used to wear it. That being said, it was one of the first embroidery projects I think I ever did, so it's a little rough around the edges, but I kind of think that makes it better. It has this like punk, grunge, very handmade feel vibe to it, and I love that. That makes me like it even more. Now, of course, if you want it to be a little bit more specific and just not quite as handmade looking, definitely slow down, test it out a few times. Don't just jump in like I did, but it's definitely an option. All right, I know that was a lot that I threw at you all at once, so let me just summarize one last time for you. So the first option I gave out was tie-dye. Next up, bleach dye. After that, I talked about cutting your shirts. It is a little deceptive. It can either be very easy or a little hard to do and easy to mess up. So just be careful when you're cutting up your shirts and things like that. Number 4, I said distressing or making your clothes look a little bit more worn out and grungy, if that's your vibe. Definitely my vibe. I like that. That you might just need some scissors, razor, seam ripper, something like that. A lot of these things you can also just find videos for. Number 5 was painting. So I really like to paint my clothes. You can use fabric markers, Posca or Posca, however you say it. There's a whole bunch of markers and paints that you can use to paint on your clothes. It just might be on the pricier side, but definitely worth it in the long run. And then of course the last one, embroidery. Definitely a time-consuming one. Not as expensive. Definitely has a great payoff, but that one especially, you are going to want to practice, unless you've done it before and you can just jump straight in. Then obviously have fun. Those are some ideas of how you can DIY or upcycle your clothes instead of just going out and spending money on more fast fashion that you'll probably end up hating or just not wearing as much as you thought you would. So this way it's more personal to you, you're gonna like it more and hopefully wear it more. Also, by DIYing and upcycling your clothes, it gives your clothes a second life. That was weird. Anyways, thanks for sticking around and watching this video. I know it's probably a little long, hopefully not too boring and very inspiring, so now you won't have to waste a lot of money on a new wardrobe and instead can essentially create your own wardrobe that's all about you and your personality. So once again, thank you for watching. I hope this was inspiring, and as always, pleasant nightmares. Bye!